The Board of Selectmen to order, Monday, February 26, 2018 at 6:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John? John?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to have a moment of silence for what happened in Parkland, Florida.
So again, moment of silence, please. All right, thank you. Any public comments at this time? I see none. Not a lot of public comments. It's great. There is no meeting minutes for tonight, and there's no executive session minutes for tonight. Going into some new business is, Carter, if you don't mind, can we do the mac and cheese festival? Somebody here for the mac and cheese festival? Not as of yet. Excellent. So, great. Moving on to appointments and introductions.
We have none for you this evening, Mr. Chairman.
None, okay, great. We do have one appointment issue at this time, Mr. Tenzini. The District Reorganization Committee, one of the Board of Selectmen members needs to be on that. Initially, it was selected to be Julie, but unfortunately, she's not able to do it. So we might need to do another reappoint that.
Do we know, unfortunately, I have to leave about 6:10 tonight. Cameron, you were there a touch longer than me. Did they set a date for the next meeting?
I didn't stay that long. I know they were closing up, but I was cutting it close.
Okay.
I can reach out to Dr. Cassavant, though.
I don't see why that couldn't be done by consensus Monday night. If that's agreeable to the body, we can add it to the agenda.
For next Monday?
We just do have a practice of not taking formal votes, but if the body's agreeable to doing it by consensus, we'll just do that as the first item coming Monday night.
I have no issue with that. Any of you guys have issue with that?
No. I don't, stop. We don't normally do appointments by consensus. So we should be doing things appropriately, and we should be doing it by vote. So
Okay.
we can't do things by vote and then do it by consensus. So we should be doing, we should figure out, we should do it by vote.
Well, I think that you have sufficient flexibility in the agenda. You've put the public on notice that you're going to be doing
Are
appointments.
you asking to have appointments, like at the, is it it's the workshop?
Yeah,
It is a workshop.
I
Okay,
think there's
so you're
sufficient,
saying to do a vote at a workshop?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry, I
or I
misunderstood.
think there's sufficient flexibility in your agenda notice. You put the
Okay.
public on notice, you're going to undertake
good.
appointments.
Sorry, I
You haven't
misunderstood.
named,
That's okay.
you haven't named which ones, frankly. I hope I'm not stepping on the wrong side of the line with potential law firms, in attendance, but I think you can do it tonight under this agenda item.
I mean, because the original appointment,
Appointments and agenda. Mhm. Well, we already know that Julia stated that she cannot do it, so would Julie have to formally resign?
Well, I think she's just put you on notice. She
Okay.
can't do it.
she did.
And is there a selectman who
Cameron would love to do
wants to
it.
do it?
Cameron does.
Is that, I haven't heard him officially say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I would attend it tonight, and yes, I will,
And I make,
for the rest of them.
okay, so, is it a one-year appointment?
It's an ad hoc. It's until they dissolve. Once they get the
And-
business of done, they will dissolve. So I suspect you're
What's the
looking at
official
4
name
plus or minus
the-
months.
District Reorganization Committee.
I make a motion to appoint Selectman Forts to the District Reorganization Committee.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion concerning this appointment?
Thank you, Cameron.
I see none.
Thank
Cam?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Make us proud, Tim.
Killing me.
Always do.
I know you do.
Just, my plate's full.
It's all right.
Regarding law firm interviews, firm A and firm B, firm A.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
as you know, we issued a request for proposals for services as town council. We received 4 proposals. We have brought before you tonight the top 2 rated firms. We have with us tonight Tom Harrington from, and I'm hoping to get this right, Miaris and Harrington.
Okay.
And he would be your first candidate to be interviewed.
Okay.
They were advised to make a short, we give you a copy of their full
Mhm.
package, and they've been advised to make a short, yeah, that's, given we got the laptop and everything set up, Tom, make a little short presentation, and then they're prepared to answer any questions that you might
Hello,
have.
Attorney Harrington.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Chairman, members of the board, my name is Tom Harrington. Mr. Terenzini nailed my partner's name, it's
Great.
Miaris, fantastic. I always tell people there's one hard name and one easy name, and that hard name is Harrington. But so thank you very much for inviting me here tonight. I want to be quick, because I want to get to whatever questions you have. But just briefly, a little bit about who we are. So our firm is Miaris and Harrington. We are a firm of 9 lawyers. We do strictly municipal law. We're town council in Littleton, Carlisle, Wellesley, Hopkinton, Reading, Stockbridge, and Hamilton. So it's what we do. We do it all day, and I think we do it very well. I wanted to touch on one thing in the proposal right off the bat. You'll note that we don't do labor work. We always bring in a labor lawyer to do the work. We do that because we think it's better to have a separate firm do your labor. Oftentimes, labor issues can be contentious, and we don't like to get kind of tied up in a contentious thing if we're gonna be working with those employees in another matter. To us, it's best to keep clean. So there's 2 or 3 firms that we generally work with. For this proposal, we had chosen Myrick O'Connell. They're located in Worcester. We thought that was a good geographical fit for you. We work with Nick Anastasopoulos in a few towns, and Nick is very good at what he does. Mr. Terenzini had pointed out to us last week, you know, Myrick O'Connell also represents the school district Narragansett. And so we checked to make sure there wasn't a conflict, and there wasn't. It's generally you'd be going through me, so if there was a problem, it would come to me and
Right.
not Nick. However, Myrick O'Connell heard from the school department today that they would prefer Myrick not be part of this application. So we've kind of switched horses on that, and we're proposing Catherine Hesse of Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane, who we work with in Stockbridge. And Murphy Hesse does, I think, about 200 towns and school districts as labor council. It's not in your packet. This just happened today. I'm gonna hopefully, I will get you something tomorrow. Hopefully it won't be too late, but we'll get you a little packet on them.
Okay.
So thank you for that. So going forward, I wanted to let you know how we work, and I was gonna hit on 3 reasons why I hope we'd be a good choice for you. This is all about answering questions. I think that's what town council generally does. And so what we strive to do is these 3 things. We strive to get you the answer when you need it. An answer that comes, 2 hours after the meeting is not much good to you. We strive to get the best answer for you. And third, we strive to get you that answer in an as efficient manner as possible. So let me just put a little meat on that. Things move pretty fast these days. So, we get phone questions, we get email questions. Oftentimes, we can answer your question with a phone call back or an email. Sometimes you want a letter back. We can do anything you want. I think the key is you're always gonna be talking to me. I am your point of contact, I'm your town council. Whatever question you have, you'll come to me, and I'll farm it out as necessary, but it all starts with me, so I'm gonna know what the question is, and I'm gonna know what the answer is going back, so that there's some consistency. Now, you call us, we're gonna call you back the same day. You email us, we're gonna email you back within 24 hours. And if you need a written letter opinion, we'll get you that written letter opinion within a week. If you need it faster than that, you call us and we will do our very best to get it to you as fast as you need it. And again, we understand things come up fast, there's meetings, there's postings, you need answers. So we make ourselves available, and we often say, you know, you'll have my cell phone numbers and you'll have the cell phone numbers of my partners. We often say, you know, if you're at a meeting and it's 9 o'clock at night and you got a quick question, just call my cell phone. You know, I might be in the car, yeah, I might be home watching the Bruins, but chances are I'm available, and chances are I could get you that answer on the spot, and that may save you a lot of time going forward. You know, you don't have to reschedule a meeting, you don't have to put a matter off. It's easy for me, and I think it's efficient for you. Part two, we want to get you the best answer we can. What do I mean by that? So I do not want to, or I don't think you're best served by, you know, saying, okay, does Chapter 40B allow this, this, and this? I can answer that question for you, and in fact, I'm sure any lawyer that applied for this job can answer that question for you. So while that may be an important component to the question I really want to ask is, what result are you looking for? You can tell me the question. My second question right after that should be, what answer are you looking for? Because that's me at my best, that's my firm at our best. We can now use our creativity and our experience to get you where you want to go. Because oftentimes we find you're asking the question, but it's not really, you're not necessarily looking for the answer to that question. You're looking to find out, can I do this? Because if we can do this, that's where we want to go. And that's where we want to get you. I think that's us working in our best. Efficiency. So we have 9 lawyers. We all have specialties. So I have someone who specializes in procurement, in wetlands, in construction, in school construction, because that's its own thing. We have town meeting experts. We have open meeting experts. We have public records experts. We have a big enough bench that we have someone who probably focuses a lot of their time on the question you're asking. I want to get the question to them because they're going to be able to get you an answer quickly and affordably, as opposed to, you know, someone trying to answer all your questions and not being an expert in the subject matter that you're asking. And so, you know, I am not particularly good at litigation. You ask me a litigation question, I'm gonna have to look it up. That's gonna take time. You're not getting your answer quickly. I'd rather walk down the hall, talk to my partner, Chris Heap, who does all our litigation, and get you the answer right away. So that's really what I wanted to tell you. I think we'd be very lucky to get the job. We'd love to serve as your town council. I think we can do a good job, and I think using that template, that's how we do a good job. But I want to stop there and answer any questions that you may have.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it. You guys have any questions?
Your team, very specialized, which is good. Has everybody on the team been there for quite a while, or do you have, you know, relatively new people or long-term people? What's your average tenure of your staff?
Right, so we have our newest attorney, Katie Stock, is in her first year. So she's the baby of the bunch. After Katie, I would say everyone has, Ivrea and Eric both have about 6 or 7 years' experience. And from there, Rebecca, Chris, and Jenny all have 15-plus years' experience. I have 28 years' experience. My other partners, Donna and Ray, are each into their 30-plus years' experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm sorry, through the chairman.
That's okay.
So since that Merrick and O'Connell the district has asked for you not to use them, and you are going to use, could you repeat the name again?
Yes, so we would propose to use Catherine Hesse, Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lahane. They're located in Quincy, Mass. They're a bigger firm, probably on the scale of 30 to 40 lawyers. They do some town council work, but they do a lot of labor work, and I think their public labor clients number close to 200.
So if I'm not mistaken, they have to answer, can you answer if there's been any complaints in the Board of Bar Overseers?
I just happened today, so I'm not prepared to answer that
Okay,
question
so
for you, but I'll get you that
That would be a
answer.
little bit, those would be my questions, because they are not part of
Key to the RFP,
this RFP,
understood.
as to whether or not, she is a part of that. But she is, do you know how long she's been doing labor?
I believe she has 35 or 40 years' experience.
Okay, so that's helpful. I mean, I read through your resumes, and yours alone are extremely impressive, along with Attorney Miari's. And I think what was more impressive was your response time, and the fact, and that you could meet the billing requirements of the RFP. And that you could meet the delivery of cost-effective client service. I also like that you would do on-site training for new selectmen at no cost to the town, along with some other training that I feel is needed
Right.
here on an ongoing basis, which included harassment. And that's just stuff that I'm not, please don't mistake me that, that's needed here. I just think it's needed as a general reminder, and, things are are ever-changing. Laws are changing, as far as there's the new Equal Pay Act, there's the new, again, there's just a lot of other, and also about opinions that would be written within a week. So you would always be the point of contact, so you're trying to get to the question that's really being asked, and
Right.
not just, so can we do that under 40B, or can we do that under Chapter 30B, or, exactly what is trying to be. You would always be that point of contact as far as where to farm it out, so that we're not really wasting a lot of time
Right.
trying to figure that out.
Yeah, honestly, with Google today, I'm sure the board can find half the answers that I can just by Googling the question, so.
Okay, well, you can Google the question, and you might end up in an entirely different place.
Exactly.
And that's not really an appropriate place to start.
Right, but for our purposes, it's not the answer to the question. That's, I think that's readily available. It's what does the board want to do, and let us help you solve the problem the way you want to solve it. But, and I guess also to add, so the laws are changing fast, and we recommend, an open meeting law training every year. It's kind of a combination, open meeting law, public
Yeah, I did
records
read
law.
that.
It's just, they change the rules on us, and we need to be up to date.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I had reached out to a few of your references here, and I want to know, what do you think that they said about you? What is your best quality as a firm? I mean, what would they really praise? And what do you think they would really find trouble with as a firm standpoint? I mean, just honestly, I want to see how much what you say lines up with what they say. Let's see if we can keep you honest.
That's hard. So I think that you would hear that we respond in a timely fashion. One of the lines we put in to our proposal is that we always try to bring good humor to the situation. Our jokes are not that good. But by good humor, we want to be a pleasant voice at the end of the phone. So when they call us, I hope they said that we respond in a timely fashion. We want to be part of the team. We want to help them get where they want to go, and we do it on their time frame. So I hope we got glowing reviews in that regard.
I won't confirm nor deny, so don't look at
I'll
me
just
for
assume
validation.
yes. What would they say negatives are? I don't know. I sit down, I sit down with each town administrator about once a year, and, either take them out to lunch or something and just say, okay, give me an evaluation. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like. And I feel like I usually get good reports. I'm sorry I can't think of something.
No, and I will validate. I mean, your references checked out perfect. That is an honest
Good.
answer.
Anybody else have anything?
I'm sorry.
Anybody else have anything? Any other questions? Well, thank you, sir, for everything. I think your responsiveness, I think, is gonna be crucial to the, obviously, to our decision-making process here. Because, again, sometimes when Carter sends out, a request for information, we all can read the statute. You're gonna cut and paste and send it to me, I don't wanna see that. I wanna be able to see, what we can do to work together to resolve the issue at hand, in a way that, it's right, and it's the law. But obviously, just cutting out the statute and emailing, it's really not the best course of action.
Yeah,
I can't, I didn't like getting those, because I can read. I know what it says, but that's not what I'm asking you.
Right.
But yeah, I really appreciate that. Carter, do you have anything?
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Well,
you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you
really
very much.
appreciate you
Thank you.
coming. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks
Nice
for
to
the
meet you.
time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
Mr. Tenzini, do we have-
Check to see if the second candidate is here, and if not, I would ask you to take the chief up, but we'll have an answer for you in just a moment here. I'm assuming, based upon the introductions going on out there, that we do have.
Hi, come on up, have a seat.
Mr. Chairman, the second candidate for you is Ginny Creamer of Creamer Law out of Concord.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So if you can just tell us a little bit about your firm
Sure,
and your staff, et cetera, that'd be great.
okay, sure. My name is Ginny Kramer, and I am a solo practitioner who practices in a suite of, an office suite with other lawyers. So although I'm solo, I'm never alone. I have been doing municipal law, serving as town council since 2005. Started for the town of Newbury with a partner, with whom I left the Attorney General's office in 2005. We left together and became town council for the town of Newbury. I continued in that position until December of, he retired a few years ago. I continued until this last December of 2017. In 2007, we also were appointed as town council for the town of Grafton. And I have been serving as Grafton's town council since that time, so for 11 years now. My approach to town council work is a very personalized one. I was absorbed by a municipal law firm. My practice was absorbed for a few years, but I left that last May because I felt that our values weren't necessarily aligned and the overhead was too much. And I thought that I could do what I do on my own more effectively, more efficiently, and with less expense attached for the towns that I serve. I have very strong relationships with the town administrator right now for Grafton, and I always did with Newbury as well as all the town staff. What I do is I have twice monthly office hours where I come in the morning and stay for as long as there are people who would like to meet with me. And that way I get to understand what issues are facing the town, what things are upcoming. I answer questions that people have, so that sometimes people don't wanna pick up the phone, or they think they have a stupid question, so they just guess, and when they guess wrong, it can lead to a lot of problems. So being in the loop, being present on a regular basis, inviting people to come and see me helps to ensure that problems are caught at their early stages or don't occur at all. But the relationships that I establish with town staff and the boards and committees, I think are great relationships. I really am passionate about government. I know that puts me in a party of one these days, but I think that government, although it's very often dismissed as broken, and sometimes it is, it really is the things that none of us, no matter how talented or wealthy we are, can do on our own. Provide services like clean water, schools, education obviously is very important, safety, police and fire. Those are all things that not a single person could do. The roads and bridges that we have, it's all a collective endeavor that we work on together. People pay into it, and then the people who work in government offices on a volunteer basis or on a paid basis are all trying to take those dollars and deliver the best services that they can. I was inspired in law school by a teacher to become interested in government, and I've worked in government my whole career. And what I try to do is make government work as well as it possibly can for the people it is serving, and that's my dedication. That's what I do. Municipal law is not an area in which I'm gonna get rich and famous, and that's okay with me. I like money, as much as the next guy, but it's not my only motivation. And I think that makes me truly exceptional in terms of my dedication, in terms of my attention to the job, and my interest in getting it right, even if that means it takes a little bit longer, and so I make less money elsewhere. And I have found, sadly, that makes me a little bit unique among some. And but I think it's an asset to my clients, and it's one that they appreciate. I know that in Grafton, if you talk to anybody there, because we've been through thick and thin, there was what is gonna be the largest LPG facility in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, was sited in a residential neighborhood on top of one of the town's aquifers. And although since it was owned by a railroad, there was federal preemption which applied to it, which meant that this railroad owner could put it there. We had a small window. We were not holding almost any of the cars, but I fought my heart out for that town, and I think the residents there and the staff really appreciated it. And even though we lost the case, there was never a question of how dedicated I was to the people who are now living amongst this giant trucking operation. And so I think that's something that's unique about me. In terms of my office life, I have an assistant. We share an assistant in my office, and we have, it's a modern office with all of the facilities and everything. I used to be associated with or of counsel to Mark Bobrowski's firm, Mark, and now I'm just in the same office suite with my own shingle, more for logistical reasons than anything else. He is the land use expert in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He wrote the book literally on land use law and planning, and he's cited by the courts all the time. I know you said that land use wasn't one of your strongest needs, but that is there, and he's a resource. I've done all kinds of land use things, obviously, planning board, special permits, ZBAs, and representing all of those boards and committees, Concom. And also, right next door to me is Chelmsford's town council, Paul Haverty, and down the hall is Mark Lanza, who's counsel to the towns of Harvard and Wayland. So we serve as backup for each other when necessary, but I think there's only been one occasion that I've ever been unable to. I've had a conflict that I couldn't resolve, so I've had to have somebody, one of them, attend that meeting for me. So, but other than that, I've never missed a town meeting. I've never missed a meeting that I was going to. And I will not take on more than 2 towns, because I think that that's too many. And I like the old-fashioned way of delivering town council services, with me being the point person, me being the person who's responsible, not passing things off. When I was absorbed by the firm, there was one person that did contracts and another person that did ethics opinions, and I was constantly waiting to get things back. And so my town administrators or town personnel would send me emails, do you have that contract yet? Do you have that contract yet? And I don't like to pass the buck or say, no, it's not back from, the contract person. The town needed a response, and I could have done it faster than that, but because of the way the firm was structured, all the contracts had to be run through one person. So I felt that it was inefficient, and it was frustrating because it made me look bad. It made, people were waiting for stuff from me, and they don't really care if it's because I had to give it to somebody else. They're waiting, they want an answer, and so that's one of the reasons that I just like being on my own. I'm responsible to my clients and dedicated to my clients. And so that's in a nutshell what I have to offer.
Great. Great, I appreciate coming in with your demonstration, that's great. Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I noticed in your resume, and I think you had stated as well, that from 1997 to 2005, you worked for Attorney General's office.
Yeah.
What do you feel that brings to the table in terms of a town where you've seen it from the inside and you're providing legal counsel now on the external side?
Well, for one thing, it gives me an expertise in administrative law, which is relevant to municipal practice, because anytime the town is involved with a state agency, the Department of Environmental Protection, DOR, any of those things, that's all administrative law, and I'm a strong expert in all of that. And there are not many municipal counsel who have that kind of background in administrative law. Additionally, I've represented all of those agencies, so I've been in, like you said, on the inside of all of that. I understand how they work, the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, MCAD, and all of them were our clients in the Government Bureau, in the state and federal courts. It also just informs me in terms of all kinds of state laws. One of the biggest things I did at the Attorney General's office is I was a part of the team of 4 attorneys who defended the Commonwealth when we were sued by so-called property poor school districts over ed reform, basically education reform and the school financing laws. So I have a deep knowledge, I know that's school side instead of town side, but I have a deep knowledge of education laws as they impact, which is a huge part, obviously, of the town, of every town's budget. I have knowledge of all kinds of employment-related matters because of my work at the Attorney General's office, and I also have lots of state contacts in state government, including still at the Attorney General's office. I know the people in the Division of Open Government, which is important in towns when there are open meeting law concerns. I'm an expert, bar none, in the open meeting law, and I offer at least annual, sometimes biannual, depending on where the town administrator feels the town boards and committees are, trainings on how to comply with the open meeting law, the ethics law, and the public records law. And I've been told over and over by a lot of town personnel, this is the first time I've understood this stuff, because I really get how town boards and committees need to interface with to people who are serving on a volunteer basis or even inside town hall. These things don't make a lot of common sense.
Right.
And yet, it's really important that they be complied with. In my own town right now, the school committee is in hot water over violating the open meeting law, and we're bleeding tax dollars while they're doubling down and defending themselves, instead of just admitting to wrongdoing. They're not getting good counsel. They're not having an attorney tell them, you can't do this. And I have been in the position where I've had to tell boards of selectmen, who my appointing authority, news that I knew that they didn't want to hear. But I've done it anyway, because my integrity means everything to me, and I don't compromise it. my client, when I serve the towns, is not the Board of Selectmen, but is the town itself. And, you know, in the rare cases that the interests of the two diverge, my client remains the town. And that's really important to me. I hope that answered your question.
No, it did, very well, thank you.
Anything else, Kim?
Give me a Attorney Kramer, but when I was reading through here, where, contract law, collective bargaining, you know, employment, where I didn't see that in here.
Okay.
Maybe I just missed it, but I did read through everything. Could you give me some?
Sure. Most towns employ separate labor counsel, as does the town of Grafton.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
in close contact all the time with
It's
Mark
separate.
Carey, Merrick O'Connell. But in Newbury, they didn't have separate labor counsel, so I did all of that stuff
Okay.
for the town. It's not in my
Sorry.
strongest area of expertise, but I've been exposed to all of it. And where necessary, I consulted. I'm very
Okay.
tied in with the State Municipal Lawyers Association, so I have very strong contacts in all areas. So that's how I've handled those situations before, but in every situation in Newbury for the past 10 years that I've been called upon to do labor and employment law, I've figured it out.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh, sure, no problem at all. That was a good question.
Kim, you have something else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
You have an interesting, cost-effective client solution where instead of doing on an hourly billing, you do it on a flat rate, which is a monthly flat rate fee. Do you find that this hinders your ability to provide a quality solution based, because you're not working on an hourly basis, you're now working on this is the amount of money I'm making this month, and these are the hours that I'm putting in. So do you find that at all that sometimes this is detrimental to your ability to deliver as an attorney versus an hourly basis?
No, in fact, I find that I didn't always do it this way. I used to work on an hourly basis. And for a lot of towns, they really appreciate the stability of knowing exactly what their legal expenses are gonna be. It helps for budgeting and planning. And for me, since I'm small, it helps me to maintain a semblance of normalcy. But the reason I switched to it was actually because I was absorbed by the firm that I was, and that's how they did these things. Once I switched to it, I still bill monthly and write down keep track of all the hours that I work. And I find that it really comes out as a wash on both sides. Most months, I work more hours than if I divided out, which I don't do, than my hourly rate. So if I divided the hours worked by the flat fee, I would come out with a number that was a little bit less than my hourly rate. But to me, I've never practiced law by somebody handing me a file, and maybe this is because I was trained in the AG's office saying, here, do this, don't take more than an hour and a half. Because that's all we can bill the client, and therefore that's all I can't work like that. I take as much time as each task requires to do as an excellent job. And so, to me, having the flat fee and having the relationships that come with it, because once there is a relationship of trust between the town administrator and town council, and I've been through this before with Grafton's town administrator, because he started after I was appointed and really wanted to make sure that everything went through him. But once I developed the relationships with the folks at town hall, the building inspector knows. He can call me or email me, not to circumvent going through the town administrator, but just, hey, I got this call to go into this house. This lady's supposed to be a hoarder. Can I go in, or do I need a search warrant? Like, yes, you can't go. You can't go. Just stop what you're doing. And there are sometimes situations where somebody needs an immediate answer, or it's just a really small question. And because they have access to me, and they don't have a town administrator having to say, look, don't contact town council because we have to control costs. so that everyone knows that every time they have a question, it's gonna cost something, and people might be unhappy with that. You develop those relationships, and those kind of contacts happen, as a matter of course. And, so I feel like the towns actually benefit from the flat fee, and I benefit from the flat fee, because I'm never thinking about, oh, how many hours am I putting in, and trying to minimize the, or maximize because I'm getting paid by the hour. I'm just doing my job every day to the best of my abilities, taking each task and working it through for however long it takes, and I just don't think like that. I think maybe lawyers who were trained at law firms right out of law school kind of have that bell going off in their head every 6 minutes, and I just don't work that way. So for me, it's a win-win for both sides, and the litigation piece is the only piece that I've found tricky, because in Newbury, I had a flat fee that included litigation, and there were times that litigation is so time-consuming that I would be working so many hours, and nights, weekends, away from my family and all of that. But I did it because that's what worked for the town, and the town administrator was an accountant. She needed to know, that's how she thought, she needed to know what that bill was gonna say every month, no surprises. So anyway, in Grafton, litigation is on top. So when it gets really crazy and I'm away from my kids, I can tell them, we'll get to go to Great Wolf Lodge, or something, but.
Well, I wish I had someone like you for my divorce attorney, so, I'll be paying for a long time. But anyways, anybody else have any other questions? Diane?
No, that was
You good?
it, and Cam's questions were really good
excellent.
too,
Oh,
so
great.
that was good for me.
Excellent, Doug, you have any?
No, and answer questions I was interested in.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, it was really lovely to meet you.
Oh, absolutely.
I live in Acton, which is just such a nice, just 30-minute drive right down Route 2, so it was great.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
It was definitely nice
Thanks for
to meet you.
having
Thank you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Judy, take care.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the board to consider a short one-item business meeting for Monday evening, which would give you a chance to reflect upon the interviews and for Mr. Harrington to submit the replacement firm, given the objection of the school district that he learned of today.
Right.
I think, 6:15 would probably be, I don't consider it I don't anticipate a lengthy debate.
Okay.
You could settle on one, and then we can open up the fee envelopes.
One never
go
knows what
from there.
happens when Diane comes, so you might want to consider 6 o'clock, I'm just kidding.
I leave it to the board, but
I'm
I'm only suggesting that because we do have a lengthy agenda for
Workshop.
Monday night, yes.
6:15 is fine with me.
Okay, 6:15, okay? Yep.
So that
6:15.
would, yeah, I'm sorry.
6:15, okay with you?
Yep.
Okay, 6:15 it is then. Thank you, that's excellent. Okay, it's okay with the rest of the board. I know, the chief, I know you're waiting. If it's okay if I could have the mac and cheese festival, is that okay with you, Mr. Tanzini?
It's
What?
board's agenda, their pleasure.
You're the chairman?
I'm asking.
Yeah,
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'm fine
Is that
with
okay
it.
with you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I know you're gonna be quick, come on up. Yes, ma'am.
So the Friends of the Templeton Elders is going to have its 4th annual Mac and Cheese Festival on Saturday, July 14th.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
And, this is has turned into a significant community event. And, we'd like to request a few things
Yeah.
from the town. There's been a lot of discussion on venue this year, due to the school construction. But the Board of Directors did discuss this, and we'd like to have it at the Common
Mhm.
for one last time. You know, we would advertise heavily that it's going to be relocated the following year. And next year, we would consider Gilman Waite.
Okay.
I would like to know why we're not considering Gilman Waite this year.
It was the ambiance of the common and attracting people who are just driving by. And we thought it was important to be able to advertise a lot.
Is the board aware that obviously the new school is being constructed, and during that time frame, it's
Yeah,
high
I don't
building
think
time?
It's a good idea.
With steel construction, police awareness, one-way traffic, parking, do I need to go on?
No.
Has the board considered all of that? Has your committee considered all?
We did consider and discuss it.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
yes,
We could recognize both, since we have both you guys sitting there. Police Chief, do we have any idea of what the security would be with that construction going on, and kind of what the road would look like in terms of having the fair with the construction going on and the new roadways?
Mr. Mayo and I actually were discussing this before this all came up.
Okay.
great.
This is good, you guys were prepared for this.
So, obviously, we all know we lost the field at the school.
Mhm.
Parking-wise, you're gonna be able to park down one side of the road on both sides of, on either street. Construction is confined to that area. It's all fenced in, we're not gonna have any issues with that. But we are gonna have parking issues because that field is gone.
Right.
We don't get any parking relief from the school until 2019 when it opens, and then we get their parking lots back. When we were discussing it, obviously, where are you gonna put so many cars? I do know that Mr. Sundstrom has donated a field behind the library
Okay.
that may be utilized for parking. We would have to talk to the Historical Society and see what that field is, what it consists of. Is it flat? Can it be mowed? And then we would have parking there, and people could walk up and be shuttled from there. Other than that, is really not a lot of parking in the center.
And how do you think that would impact the safety and the well-being of the community?
If we could park on the field and shuttle up, or people could walk up from there, it wouldn't be an issue. Otherwise, it could be rather hectic that day.
It's
Mhm.
always hectic, every year it's
It
always
is,
hectic.
it is every year.
I
I
avoid
think
it
it's just
whenever I'm
gonna
driving.
make the residents really upset, and they're already upset. So,
Right.
could I ask Mr. Dill to please rise? Is there a reason that we couldn't use Gilman Waite this year?
We've talked, me and Ellen discussed this with, and it can be done. It's, I mean, there's nothing going on up there in Gilman Way
So
right now.
beautiful.
It is, and,
There's so much parking.
There's
I was
a
gonna say, do
amount
you
of
have
dirt
parking
there
up
right
there?
now that's being
Yes,
stored
there is.
from Templeton Center School that we'd have to work around, but
Okay.
Alan said he can move that they screened that property, took it all to Gilman Way and left it in the parking lot to be recycled and brought back to the school, but not till 2019, so that has to be
Okay.
addressed, but otherwise, security-wise, parking-wise, safety-wise, it's probably your best bet.
Safety-wise.
Safety.
It's an enclosed 30 acres.
But it's a beautiful piece of property that is not utilized enough,
Okay,
in my opinion.
Public safety-wise, it would be a better, it's one way in, one way out, they can control traffic
Chief
with
Benner?
CRT and,
We'll probably have the same issue for the fair,
right.
I
Fair.
agree, but,
Mhm.
and we would have to discuss that when that
Yeah.
comes up,
right.
but,
Gilman Way is definitely the more ideal location.
even parking.
They have there's a lot.
A
I mean,
lot
they have
more
the-
parking.
The softball tournament that's up there every
It's
year.
huge.
That's
it is huge,
It's
right,
huge.
Julie?
The softball is huge up there, and there's,
Yeah.
I can't believe how many vehicles you can park up there.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I also had one other question.
Yes, go ahead.
Why is it again that we're looking at a COA driver will be
Oh.
required for this event?
Well, you know, I'll get there. I'll get there,
Okay.
Yeah,
okay?
can we just, yeah. can
Yeah,
we
just
take-
doing the location first.
Okay,
We were gonna push park and ride and promote a shuttle from Narragansett, but that would require trying to find a bus, a driver,
Right.
and things like that. So,
We have Sparky.
you know, maybe Gilman Waite would be a better,
well, right.
We have Sparky.
yeah,
Okay, go.
yes.
And that's, we could speak to,
John, Mrs. Kingsbury.
I forget it, do we have to speak to Mr. Cushing about that,
Yeah.
Chief Bennett?
Yes,
We'd
and
have
we
to- we'd have
did
to
try
speak to
that
Mr.
previously, but it didn't, at the time, it didn't, only one person took advantage of it, so. And I guess if you had it at Gilman Way,
Right,
that would eliminate that need.
Right.
okay.
But on that day, because there are not a lot of restaurants in the area, we've asked organizations and churches to also help make mac and cheese. And we would require the need of the Meals on Wheels truck to pick up food and keep it hot and deliver it to the event.
Is that what we did last
Yes.
time? Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I
And
thought
it worked
that's
out
what we did.
well. And,
And I think that Lori, the Board of Health
yeah,
had
oh, yeah,
had a
yes,
lot
we've-
to do with that. Yep.
right, we've
Yep, I
worked
remember
it out.
talking to her about
And
that.
that worked out very well, and we would use a COA driver, and they can either donate their time or the Friends will compensate them.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
are we getting a reimbursement on the mileage usage for that vehicle as well?
We may.
I would request that just because it is a town vehicle, so if we're using this for we'd have to be
Okay,
reimbursed for the mileage.
all right. And just to let you know, we will be having a Hometown Hero Award again this year, and we'll let you know later.
okay.
Would we be doing that at the Mac and Cheese Festival, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's all done by the Friends of Templeton Elders, correct?
Correct.
So all your sponsorship forms and all that stuff is all handled by the Templeton Elders?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
And, you know, all the proceeds go to support the Council on Aging.
Of course, very important.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I
sir.
have a question if it's,
Could you
Okay.
stand so I could hear you, please?
Yes, Chief.
Thank
I
you,
have a
Chief.
question, if the location is gonna stand, usually during functions like this, you know, the fire department has an open house, and we do like an EMS station there, if we're going down to Gilman Waite, we're not right on a fire station or anything like that, so I would actually request that, we have an EMS station set up. That
Oh,
way,
yes.
same
Oh,
way,
yes.
same way that you would have police presence for that, I'm
Absolutely.
gonna request a fire presence there on
Oh,
that same,
and I would
that
want
day.
you to be,
I-
absolutely.
We responded a couple of years in a row, so.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Good call, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
And obviously compensation from the Friends of Templeton Elders or, you know, the
Mhm.
Macaroni Cheese Festival, however you want, whatever group is doing it. Just like the law enforcement.
Mhm. All right, so we'll be relocating to Gilman Way this year.
Well,
Is that,
well,
is
that would
that
be,
acceptable to
Your group?
the, to you?
Well,
I mean, I asked the question, I asked the question.
We'll need further discussion with your group, or group,
well, I would,
public safety.
But you would say that if it is doable?
Absolutely.
Because I definitely do not think that the Templeton Common is doable.
well, then I would entertain a motion at this time. To have, the Macaroni Cheese Festival, be relocated this year, you know, based on the safety, the logistics, parking, and so forth and so on to Gilman Waite versus Town Hall.
Mr. Chairman, wouldn't it, we would be denying the permitted location, right? We can't tell them where to relocate, but we would.
That is true.
We would deny the permitted
we're just
location for
denying.
the Templeton Center,
Right,
so.
we're not,
And I don't think we need to take a motion on that. I think that's, we
We're
need to look
denying.
elsewhere for it.
they have
Or
to
you guys
resubmit.
would need to come out with another place,
Yeah.
permit it.
And do.
You have to do a
Same
new-
thing.
Come back and ask?
If that's the recommendation, I mean, you have
Well,
to report back to
because,
whoever.
Selectman Forts asked for a mileage reimbursement, we,
Yeah, there's-
it doesn't say,
House fire,
the
EMS.
EMS station, is there going to be, police presence, there's nothing like that on here. And if,
No, because we usually do have, like, touch a truck, and we do have the EMS, and police presence. We usually do have those.
I'd like to see that on here.
Okay.
I would too.
Or unless they fill out their own forms. Yes?
May I
Mr.
suggest, if you're not gonna approve it, but you're not gonna deny it, that you simply table it It'll stay on the agenda.
Okay.
And in
Until
2
we-
weeks from now, they've had an opportunity to work with Rep Commission and the public safety folks.
Yep.
They can come back in with a revised
better idea.
proposal. They'd have 10 days to do that. If they can't get that done in 10 days, they'd have 24 days and so on.
Right, I got you.
Until they are able to put their thoughts together, working with Lori, the staff, and everyone else, and bring you a revised proposal.
Sounds good.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table this discussion until the next Board of Selectmen meeting.
I second that
Okay,
motion.
motion second, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
No, thanks.
See you, Diane,
Yes.
Doug,
I'll abstain.
Julie,
Yes.
Yes.
Cameron, and I vote yes as well. Police station? Hi, chief.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, so, we put out the RFS for the OPM, Owner Project Manager. We had 7 firms reply. I believe you should have a little memo. So out of the 7 firms, the top 3 were Adalis, Colliers International, and DAS. All the firms had vast experience in municipal projects. And some were really quite impressive, but their body of work was related to libraries, town halls, and schools.
Right,
So of those 3, of those 7, these 3 had the most experience when it came to police buildings. So when it came down to actually doing the review and making the pick, DAS had very good knowledge in working on timetables. They did a lot of work for UMass, so they had to do cram projects. So when school's out, they would have to do a construction project only while they were out. So they were good at timetables and municipal projects. Colliers International, the benefit with them that I was looking at was they're doing the school. So when I first was into discussion with the OPM that's over there, I was kind of thinking that it was going to be, you know, hey, there's already one OPM virtually on the site. It's right next door. This would be a great thing for you to have another project that's right there. Well, when they submitted a whole nother team. So it's gonna be a whole different OPM that would come over to our project. The individual has vast knowledge on police stations. He did Gardner, he did Winchendon, he did West Boylston, vast knowledge. However, when it came to Adalis, what I really liked about Adalis, and if you got to look at their packet, there was one for everyone. If you looked at it, they really touched on the specifics of the project. They understood exactly what the timetable was, what we were dealing with, finances, everything. They curtailed everything exactly to that, where the other ones weren't as specific on the timetable. I actually had one company come back and say that they proposed a timetable and the project was supposedly supposed to go to bid in June, and I'm like, weren't you listening? Because we had a pre-session meeting, so we had a meeting where they all came down and could ask questions, and I went over everything for them. And if you weren't listening and didn't get it right there, that kind of, turned me off to what was going on with that company. So I am here tonight to give my recommendation for your consideration of Adalis. I think that they give us the best option to bring this project to fruition.
okay, good. Thank
I
you,
make a
chief.
motion to move ahead with Adalis for the OPM for the police station project. I don't know if that needs to be.
I just want to be clear on what moving ahead means, is we'll now
Well, I
get a
need to-
fee proposal from them, and then we'll have to bring that to you for your actual approval.
Okay, so what does it be?
I would simply authorize the staff to negotiate a fee proposal with the dollars and bring it back post haste.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? See none. Cameron?
Abstain.
Julie?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Thank
Good
you,
luck,
Chief.
Chief.
Thank you.
Capital planning report for FY19 and beyond.
Okay. So this year, the committee did have a quorum at every meeting, which was quite beneficial. And I would like to thank the committee for all of the hard work that they put in. It was a very excellent season. The departments all came on a timely basis, did a good presentation of what they were looking for. They were very engaged and knowledgeable. They answered all of our questions without any hesitation. And then when the committee came together to form our recommendations, it was a very interactive session. We spent 3 meetings kind of working down to, what the recommendations were gonna be. I won't read through the whole memo. I will highlight just a few things. There are a number of projects that got brought before us that, are self-funded or already have funds available to it, so they would not have an impact on the tax rate. There was a couple of big items like the police station and the fire engine, which the committee believes if those projects are to move forward to town meeting, that they should be presented as a separate town meeting article. They should not be lumped into the general capital article. We did find that many of the projects that were approved at town meeting for FY18 have still not been completed. So, not only is the town not benefiting from these projects that town meeting already approved, we need to, look at those and get those going. When you look at all of the projects as they span out over time, we've kind of begun breaking that bubble. When we first introduced this method back in probably 2013, because we had ignored capital for such a long period of time, we had these gigantic bubble right at the beginning, well over $1.5 million. And then it just kind of died out. So as we have, worked the plan over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, and, made some progress on capital, that bubble is beginning to now, filter down and getting a more consistent run rate of what we should be investing in capital. When you look at the bottom line, based on everything that's in the capital plan out into the future, we should be investing about $500,000 a year into capital to sustain the plan.
The current amount is with just what we have in there, correct? So it's $500,000 to sustain the plan of items that we have in there currently?
Yes,
Okay, so that's not including any other,
Nuances.
right, stuff that would come on or,
okay.
But as stuff has come on and it's been addressed, it moves out on the cycle time. So if something's got a, 10-year lifespan, that project that we just did in 18 then gets moved 10 years out if it's got a 10-year lifespan. So it's not like it drops off of the plan, it just moves out to the time frame where it should be slotted.
And this is minus like fire engines and ladder trucks and that type of capital, correct?
Not necessarily, only,
Because I thought you said that
yeah,
would be
you're
like a
right,
separate article, right?
yes, you're right.
So that would be a
Because we
separate
asked-
tax exclusion? or,
Right, since we asked for those to be
Mhm.
done separately, you're right, they are not included in these numbers. Because when you have big things, you know, like a $2 million item,
Mhm.
that really skews the entire number. So you
Right.
can't really make an intelligent decision on what your capital investment should be on a year-after-year basis.
so,
So those big exceptions need to be handled in an exception manner.
and these amounts were based on those exceptions, correct?
No, these are the numbers based on what's in the plan. So in 2019, there were $295,000 of capital requests made. 2020, there's 692,000 already in the budget that have been requested for 2020. 2021 has 559,000. 2022, 532,000. 2023, 463,000.
I got you.
Is what's in the plan being requested, but excluding these big exceptions.
I got you, okay.
And then down at the bottom there is how we come up to that 500,000 is what should be invested
Every year.
every year. Right.
To sustain. That's the key. It's just to sustain. My question to you, Doug, is, so I'm just quickly running through this, and correct me if I'm wrong. I only see like 3 police cruisers on here, right? So we don't, this isn't a tagging of what we have for assets of any nature. I mean, we obviously have more than 3 cruisers in the police fleet.
Yeah, no, they're all in there. There's only, let me talk about the spreadsheet and how it's broken up,
Yeah, that'd be great.
okay?
In the future, we can't make them this small.
Right, I have one that's on
You have
big
one
paper
that's
that,
for people who are blind like me.
yeah, so.
Okay,
If
thank you.
you'd
In
like to
addition
look
to
at
being
the big
deaf.
paper one. you can-
Thank you.
Yeah. I can't see this.
You guys are just old over there.
Oh, is that?
All right, so this first section, which I don't know, there's about 8 projects there. Those are the projects that were approved at the 2018 capital budget. So these are projects that should be being done in this current fiscal year.
Which only has 4 months left, so I'm as surprised as the committee must
Yeah.
be that none of it has even started.
Yeah, well, I don't know that none of
Shame.
it's
We
even
need to
started,
put
but
it
we
on
didn't
our
have
agenda.
anybody give us any
No,
information
none of
on the
them.
status of their current projects. So,
Okay.
all right, so that's what the first section is.
And by section, what's,
So if you
Outlined in the
notice, when
bold.
you're looking at it, there's a bolder line that
okay.
goes across. That's what's separating the sections,
okay, yep.
okay? Then the second section, which just has the 3 items, is the stuff that we would recommend is separately debt excluded, should those projects move forward. The school is on there, simply because that project's not finished yet. So that's why it's still on here. Even though it's really begun, it's not finished. Then the next section, which starts with the vision software. Those are projects that were requested for 2019, but they're gonna be paid from already existing funds.
So grants and
So
things
if
of
you
that
look
nature?
across, there's estimated non-taxpayer funded expense and then estimated taxpayer funded expense. So all of these projects in the third section will be paid for with funds such as the assessor's overlay, grants, gifts, those types of things, donations.
Well, to get them initially, and then obviously, per the capital plan, if it has a 10-year life, it goes back on, it stays on, but it goes down to the bottom as waiting for the 10 years, right?
That's right, so that fiscal year requested, if 2019 and it's a 10-year project, it would now move to 2029.
I got you.
Yep. So it doesn't drop off the plan, but it moves those future dollars out into the future years. That's how the average stays current, is what we need to be investing.
Mhm.
Okay, so then the next section is the projects that were requested that would have a tax impact that the committee is actually made a recommendation on. Then the next section, you can see those all say defer. Those are the other projects that were requested in 2019 that the committee did not make a recommendation on. We didn't make a recommendation because we worked on the assumption of we would use $100,000 of taxpayer dollars to invest in capital. We didn't know what was going to be available at the time we had to make the recommendations. So after a conversation with Carter, there is going to be a little more than 100,000. So a few more of these projects that didn't get a recommendation certainly could.
So essentially that first section and then the second section here, if you decrease funding, you'd approve less projects, and you increase funding. So that's all from the same pool. It's just breaking it down to which ones you made a recommendation for or against.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, and you can see there's the committee ranking column, and you see we have 1 through 8. And then all of the rest of them are defers for whatever reason there. Then everything after that 5th section is future. So you can see that first item there, which is the assessor's file cabinets, is out to 2043. Next, they're in 2020, 2021, and so on.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why there was no priority ratings given to the ones that weren't included in scope? So that if we did increase capital planning, say for the 2019, we said we were giving you $200,000, so that we could know what that was going to be recommended funding for, or did you guys exclude that on purpose?
So because we didn't know what that number
Yep.
was, we used the assumption of 100,000.
Yep, yeah,
because
I
we knew
understand
the
that.
budget would be tight.
I'm talking about
So
your
we only
priority
made
ranking.
recommendations
Yep.
up to that point.
Okay,
So everything else would be deferred from a recommendation standpoint.
okay.
So if you do get more money, do you have a priority of the of the things that were deferred?
We do not, no.
Okay, so that would, you guys would have to meet again to prioritize the deferred list to what,
We certainly could do that.
right?
Yeah, that was my
Again, it's this
question.
board's
Just, I didn't know what
decision.
your priorities were on
Right.
the deferred items, because I mean, they're all
This board's
98s and
decision is
99s.
what gets funded or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But we take the recommendation of the committee very seriously, so,
Yeah, so I mean, if that's what you wanted us to do, we could certainly do that.
okay, that would be good.
So to answer Cam's question about cruisers,
Yep.
I found them, they're on the back page.
yeah, they're down lower in the section because
Guess I got
they're
some
out for
old
2
eyes
years.
too, like the rest of the board, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why the big sheets are nice.
Let's not do that again.
looks
We
like-
need fold-out ones.
It looks like Chief doesn't need any cruises. No, I'm just kidding, Chief.
Doug, is there any way you could distribute this to all of us in Excel so I can manipulate it and look at it and do whatever I can in Excel?
We
Thank
can
you.
increase the font if necessary.
Yeah,
Or it fits on the big paper and it's actually.
To like 80.
We will,
thank you so much, Doug,
we'll
for
get
that.
you 11 by 17s for your budget books.
Okay, great.
Thank
I
you.
fear they were put in the budget book at 8.5 by 11 as well. But we'll have those for you for Monday
Super.
night.
All right, great. Anything else for capital plan?
Could the tall one please provide a magnifying glass?
That's awesome, good job.
Yeah, so now Bob, you have anything you want to add, or?
No, I think you did great. I was gonna say I was gonna cancel, but that's been resolved, so.
About the cruisers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically just where they were, and,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you were looking at the updated list, our, recommendation list, not our long-term list, so you
Yeah.
didn't have the.
Yeah, it was all on the very last page, the big section I saw in there.
I just think that, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
go ahead,
but
I'm sorry.
that it's been great to have a full committee and that you all meet, and that I said this to you in the hallway, that you've been a great asset and a great addition to the committee. You're a logical thinker, and you think outside the box, and you challenge everybody, so thank you so much.
Thanks, Diane.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
To the chairman of the capital planning committee, is there any skills that you're kind of looking for to fill a gap maybe in the committee, as somebody with any sort of expertise that maybe we could kind of?
So currently, there's only one opening for a member at large.
Okay.
Oh, it
You know.
says two somewhere I saw.
Well, we had
You had one at the last meeting, I think
Oh.
they got sworn in
turned in an
today.
application, and we appointed her. Did she get sworn in, do you know?
I believe it was just today,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah,
but yes,
so-
she's now
So we
sworn
have,
in.
one of the member at large positions, so there's still one open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ideally, it's somebody who's gonna be budget-minded, perhaps has worked with, capital budgets in the past. But again, just a, proactive thinker and, is really, what we're looking for, it's a, it's not, it's a committee where everybody's input is considered. So,
Okay, excellent.
Mr. Tanzini, all the openings for all the committees and boards are still posted on the website, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, I want to make sure that that's still relevant, so if there is openings, that they are posted. Yes, Mr.
If I might, just on that note, I was gonna, email you, Holly. But with the, you have two headings on the town website, and it says committee openings. And when you go to one of the committee, the point that says committee openings, you do get the full 24 vacancies. But when you go to the, the button over on the right with paid contracts and everything that brings you to the board and committee openings in the write-up, that doesn't have the full 24. It only has, I think, 13, or whatever the old.
It has a link to it,
I don't believe it links. I
Okay,
believe
I'll check
there's,
it.
there's
We'll
some.
check.
All right, thank you so much for that.
so if I can just ask, Eric, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for the small print. Kinda sent that to Holly and, feel a lot out of touch because I can read it and no one else can, so my apologies. Next time we'll
You
get it
can
on
read
bigger.
that?
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Oh,
Get on
my
bigger sheet
goodness
of paper.
gracious.
Appreciate the hard work. All right,
Some of us are like twice your age,
anything else?
maybe
on-
more.
Diane, you want to quit while you're ahead, please?
All right, anything else on capital planning?
No, I meant me, Julie, because you're really young.
She's only 27.
I
Presentation for the FY19 budget, we'll go into that.
Eric, you want to fire that up? please?
Oh, good, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
please, could we, I think that,
Well, Eric's
Could we
getting this
please
fired
have
up, and we're
5-minute break?
distributing copies of the handouts, perhaps a 5-minute recess.
Sure, I can take a 5-minute recess.